Salam, greetings, my dear hearts. Welcome, welcome.
Alaikum salam.
Salam to you. At this time in your human journey, very much energy is moving into conscious awareness. And with it, you will feel increasingly that sense that there is much occurring, much on this earth and in your lives that you must navigate and come to understand. There is love rising within you. A very real opening in your consciousness. And as it arises, it will feel vulnerable. It will awaken you and reveal to you your strengths and your vulnerabilities, both within yourself and in life around you, in your relationships between you and others, and particularly in how you view and see this world. For a very long time, your consciousness has been beset by many messages, information, things that have stimulated you and caused you to fear or doubt. It is important to understand that you are being reminded in many ways at this time that you are on a journey of becoming very much more aware of yourself, of whom you are spiritually and whom you are personally. The two go together very well because, quite simply, knowing yourself as a human being and then adding that element of your soul allows you to recognize this world in which you live, but also that which you are part of. For the time of growing consciousness and awakening, you have been vulnerable. You have been vulnerable to mixed messages that have told you something about yourselves. And then another wave of energy arose to tell you what to fear, to tell you to be concerned. The more that many have awoken, you have begun to question. And you have begun to realize that what is occurring isn't always going to serve the good of all life. And yet, for millennia, a repeated message has been to love one another, to absolutely use this love, this unending, eternal love, and let it guide you. Let it heal you. Let it show you what matters. In the awakening, you are recognizing things that limit your sense of self, your sense of life and freedoms. You sense and become more discerning of what you participate within, of what you notice and listen to. And this, of course, has become important because your freedom is in your consciousness. The freedom to grow, to expand, to explore, to know yourself very deeply on the earth, but also the extent of whom you are. And this means, of course, dear hearts, that now more than at any other time, what is needed is love. Your love. And this is not to be measured by whether you felt very loved in life or whether you felt hurt, disappointed by love, but the very part of you who knows this love and therefore understands that it has a power, it has an energy, it has a strength that will always make the difference. Now, I want you to understand that this is not just a talk about purity words or metaphor. This is not just a reminder to go to the heart. You've gone beyond this now. And you are ready to understand what this energy, love, truly is. You want freedom. You want to be conscious and absolutely create your life. And in order to do that, you need to use the very best energy possible. The energy that all of life depends upon and comes from. That which you know and seek, grieve for, and want to experience. It is a very real and tangible feeling for you, this energy. Your love is connected to all love. This is your own experience. Being conscious, representing a unified field that expands your universe and into multiverse. So it means, of course, that the very light you know is the presence, the very presence of love. And you are encouraged now to become very consciously awake to this energy in you. This is not just to feel good. This is not just to have your life work better. This is not just to manifest your dreams and desires. This is to participate in something that is far greater than perhaps the mind on its own can comprehend, but that you can increasingly feel and experience. It is the only way to measure this path, to find your way through the obstacles and the minefields of information you encounter, the fears that are placed before you, projected, represented. These stop you. These cause you to question. They cause you to doubt in and of yourself. It is the part of self that knows truth, knows how to recognize it, and absolutely identifies that now it is all you have within you and in each other to know what is real, what is pretend, what is conspiracy, what is truth, what is happening, what is not happening. And this is so very needed because you influence each other. If you hold love inside and you protect it, you shield it, or you fear it's not enough, it's not accessible to you, it cannot support you, it cannot teach you, it cannot guide you. So it is very important at such a time to realize that you get to consciously choose to be awake. You are getting the opportunity not just to expose yourself to being aware of everything, but what part of self to be conscious in. End of. There are many who will propose that there is a reality, a choice, that there are things afoot, occurring, that can cause you fear and alarm, can leave you mistrusting, doubtful. And it is important to understand that right now, wherever love is not, will be exposed and vulnerable within you, and therefore cause you to believe things that are not true, to believe and project into things because fear will say so. It is a time to begin to be more conscious of what you are using in your life as an energy consciously. This is not a time for automatic, I believe you call it pilot, yes? That you are operating this life, this body, on patterns that were set years and decades ago. It is no longer appropriate, my dear hearts, to believe you don't matter, you're not part of it. It is important to understand your presence now matters for the life that is truly begun, for the future that has begun to rise. And of course, the more you rise, the more you will be aware of the division of what is risen and what is not. You will become conscious of things that are purported to be truth and awake, when in fact it is a manipulation to cause you to doubt and fear, to fight, to resist, to become reactive, and to get caught up again and again in the part of self that believes more than anything the limits of your physical existence, that blinds you to the beauty and brilliance of your own light, your own soul, and your own creativity. So this means, of course, that it will be difficult, confusing, in some ways to understand what is true, who is true. You only have your consciousness to guide you. You only have the guidance of love as a true moderator, as an absolutely, I guess you would call, foolproof measure. Right now, at this time, you will be aware of what is happening in your world. Collapses of systems, collapses in government, collapses in health, everywhere uncertainty, movement, travel, not possible. You could end up feeling very limited. You could end up feeling controlled because you cannot move about freely as you believed you were and was your right. This is a time to work together, to unite in love, so that you all are very conscious of choosing to uphold awareness that builds your lives individually and collectively into the years ahead. You are part of this life together. And indeed, once more, many in your country will be feeling confused, afraid, angry, untrusting, unsure, believing this voice or believing that voice. And dependent upon how you are, whether you are centered and connected with yourself or not, you will follow one or other voice. And it is again very important to understand that if you become caught up in a projection and in a position that says, this is it, you are stuck. You are controlled, you are manipulated, you are not free. Now, yes, of course, we could argue this and talk about the individual things that are occurring, that are real, that you need to be conscious of, that you need to be aware of. But right now, dear hearts, you can become your own worst enemies. Friends against each other. Not agreeing, not supporting, not discussing. Simply holding positions. Dividing and alienating so that there is no unity. There is no heart, there is no love. And you will have to make a choice again and again and again in order to understand how to see, how to be conscious. Some of this, of course, will be common sense. And it is very important to understand. As I said some time ago, this country of yours would lead the world, show the way into the future, into how to live with values, with understanding, with compassion. You are those souls. And this is your time. And it is very clear to understand that a young leader that I spoke about would arrive to guide you, would arrive to show you and support you. But if you were to believe what you hear, see, read, you would be afraid. You would be untrusting. You would consider that really no one has their hands on the wheel. It is important, dear hearts, to understand I'm not here to talk politics with you. I want you to realize this is a time of conscious awakening to understand the pivotal point you are all at and how you communicate with each other, what energy you choose determines what happens next, in the next weeks, in the next months, in the next years. You are deciding this right now. And it is very important to listen to yourselves, to your distresses, to your concerns, to the sense of shock at what you hear and see, and realize very much that the part of you that knows the truth is the part that is of love. Because the way forward is your freedom, together, not fighting each other that you've always been pitched to do, but to absolutely realize that when you work together, you grow beyond any current circumstance, personally or collectively. Love is rising within you. This is the level of consciousness that you now have an opportunity to live, to experience, a kind of taster for the new world to come. And it is being offered to you. And yet, so many do not trust. Do not trust their own heart, their own conscience, their own love, because you are so very accustomed to feeling that it makes you vulnerable, that it hurts you, that it doesn't work, that it is unfulfilling. Now, more than ever before, you have the choice. Light is love manifest. You have an opportunity to move forward into a consciousness that supports and guides you, that allows you to see above and beyond a level of mental consciousness caught up in a message, in a story that is not real, that is not manifest, but is very convincing and pulls you off and away into a level of fear where if you are unhappy, there is your proof. If you feel disempowered, disengaged, there is your proof. So it's time to consider the lens you are looking at life through right now. To consider what your hurts, your pains, your struggles, your growth is, and how much this is coloring your perception, how much it is reflecting to you your fears and leaving you in a place of disempowerment. It is time to do this in a very honest way, to truly consider a choice you have to make. Now, my message to you right now is not unique. You're going to be hearing this from other messengers in other places of your world right now, because there will continue to be shock and awe further in your world. Things happening that will concern you, because you and your lives have changed. You've adjusted, rather well, should I say, at this time in your country. And yes, you are always going to have further infection. Always. And not purely because some desperately wanted to join you here, but because this virus is strong. And it doesn't have to kill all of you, or most of you. It just has to do enough to weaken many of you in order that you really suffer further from what you might call common cold, common influenza, common melodies. This virus, COVID, is in fact so virulent, so infectious, that you can be exposed and not know. Your body adjusts and you become what you've termed in your world a carrier. Some of this has returned into your country, but some of it never left. And it is important to understand, it is no mistake, no surprise that you reach a certain point of so many days and then it awakens again, here and elsewhere. It is important not to be alarmist, not to be fearful and worried. It is a major inconvenience for you, for your lives and how you wish to live. But it is in many ways worse if you contract it, simply because it has a greater damage to you than common coronavirus. So I want you to understand that right now is a time to work upon your immunity, and the first and most important thing in this is you, your heart, your love, the vibration you are choosing, the way you're seeing yourself, your life, each other. And that as far as possible, as much as possible, you're not closed off to others. You're not fearful of others. You are respectful, you are considerate, you are loving and kind. And these are not just platitudes. These are the languages of the future. These are the languages of an awakened consciousness. To consciously awaken right now is to consciously choose to be aware of the energy you are living from. And when you find your mind getting filled with worry and fear, to pause and to remember where to turn back in yourself, where to sit in yourself, so that your perspective can clear. Now is not a time for fighting, and there is nothing planned for you. You are simply dealing with a worldwide viral infection that in some cases is very severe and lethal, and in other cases creates such an illness that it can take many, many weeks or months to recover. You don't want to contract it, but it is very important to become conscious of what you are choosing to contract. Anything that causes you to become distrustful, fearful of each other, or even of those who are seeking to keep you safe. It is very important to understand you can be an unruly lot. You can be wild, rebellious. You will stand and say, I want my independence. I don't want to be told what I must and must not do. And of course you can choose not to. But there will be consequences for this. There are many things, dear hearts, that you will continue to hear, continue to see. But right now, you really have choice. This is important. I want to invite you for a moment to consider love. What you know of it, not the romantic kind, not the kind between you and someone else, where you feel loved and you love them, but of love itself, the very basis of life. That very energy that means you are here in this body right now. The miracle that is sometimes referred to about life. Given this, really feel the invitation. Use your heart. Let it speak to you. Let it remind you that there is a force of energy far greater that you are connected to, that holds and supports you, that loves you, that you may draw from. that you return to when this life is finished, that never abandons you, never leaves you, always loves, nurtures and sustains life. It is in this forgetting that you are able to hurt each other. It is in this forgetting that you feel hurt and wounded. And yet this energy is with you every moment, always with the gift and the promise of another day. You are changing. You will suffer more mentally, emotionally, physically if you don't choose. It is a very conscious thing, and this is the message coming to you worldwide right now. Many other teachers, messengers, to choose love. If your leaders in the world told you to choose love, you might smile and believe they're a little soft. So you're encouraged to be kind. You're encouraged to be aware of each other, to help one another, to truly care that others have all they need, that they are safe. This is your role now. This is the request, the invitation from the universe to you, that you may join these dimensions that many talk of. This ascension that has been spoken of for many years. You are not suddenly going to stand in an elevator and get a ride to the top. It is about choosing very consciously the energy you live by, the energy that guides you, the energy that says, this is the life I choose to live. This is the life that absolutely honors all living beings, that changes how you take from this planet, how you treat all other living creatures. Whether you turn away or you say no, stop. Whether you walk in unison or you simply take what you want. It is not a time for the individual self, for the I. That time has passed. It is time for the collective we, for the unity of humanity, because then you are strong, you are bright and clear. Your presence, your consciousness has a direct impact. Collectively, you cannot be influenced because you will collectively know truth. And there are so many manipulations right now, so many ways that you will be reminded of lack, that you will be reminded of hurt, of not being nurtured, not feeling safe, not having your need met, of believing that everything you need and hold dear is not being cared for. It is not in the hands of others, it is in you. It is in the love you know. And you do know it. Because you look for it and you grieve for it. And you want it. And it is here, all along, inside of you. You are the energy that is needed now. Consciously live your life from a place that you know every choice, every decision you are making is either helping and assisting or is maintaining the old. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm not asking for anything at all. I'm simply here to remind you and to speak to that part of you that chose to incarnate now at this point, at this changing point of consciousness. Now, if you upheld every rumor, every conspiracy that you might really feel able to justify, to hold out and say, what about this and what about that? The answer for you is to truly ask, what are you doing? Are you reactive? Are you observant? Are you absolutely representing a position that puts you oppositional to everything you value? Or are you choosing to understand that you making a choice collectively in unity is going to completely neutralize any apparent agendas? And you are not really so much in practice except when you come together in your disasters, when you come together in united grief, and you show love and you show care, and it really matters, and in fact, you even manage to keep it up for 1 or 2 weeks. It's not too bad. Indeed. But the real stretch, my friends, is to fully comprehend that you've not had the devastation that the rest of your world is currently suffering. You've not had the threat that the rest of your world has experienced. You, my dear ones, have an opportunity to continue to show yourselves how you work together to help one another at such a time, with love and understanding and tolerance, so that when you see some souls scrambling for everything available to purchase because they are very afraid they will not have their need met, you will look and smile and realize that didn't have to happen. But you are so fearful because you forget love. And it is time that most of you choose this energy to live by, so that you really represent a knowing that you are conscious of, that you are consciously choosing to awaken the sense that you are not separate, that everything you do impacts someone else, be it your opinion, be it your attitude, your energy, your words and actions, be it your love and care. You cannot escape it. You're not separate. You have this illusion that you go home to your bed, to your house, close the doors and the gates, and you are safely away. But you rely on each other so much more than might be comfortable to realize. You have a cooperative culture. But I'm inviting you to consider how the very basis of this cooperative culture can in fact grow and develop further, that can truly transform how you do things, from growing food to looking after your health and your needs, to really feeling that you are all mattering, all included and no one goes without. No, I'm not talking socialism or communism. A cooperative culture whose basis is the nourishment of a life. The basis, the premise of what is it that supports life to grow, to flourish? What is it that truly brings happiness, that truly fulfills you, that truly reminds you not just what you're a part of spiritually, but what you're part of humanly. This human journey that begins at birth and ends at death, where you leave a legacy, a trail of your having been. Every day, every time you look at someone, make eye contact, smile, interact, use your words, your tone of voice, your energy, you are impacting yourself and others far more than you realize. If you hold yourself separate, you've created a gap. And this is felt. This is not who you are. This is not the unity of soul. This is a gap. This is a reminder of what happens when you disconnect, when you feel that it's all for themselves, and you truly forget how much you need each other, how much you need the love and the reflections of love and the creations of love that remind you of home, of where you came from and where you will return. So again in this moment, take a breath and a pause to feel that there is love within you, that there is love to give. And indeed, you might be reminded of where love was not, of how love, in forgetting, hurt you or others, and how it is important to learn from this, to realize the suffering, the fear, the anxiety in you is of a result of that disconnection, that forgetting that occurs. But it's so easily resolved, and so easily united, because indeed, as simple as the smile, you will be feeling it again. But if you feel disconnected, if you don't feel you can consciously choose it, if your life keeps you separate, again suffering occurs. So yes, I'm saying the same thing over and over and over, because there's only one thing that truly matters now. You've heard the stories, the myths and the prophecies about the future to come. You've heard, and heard so often, the awakening of humanity. And then you forget. And yet it's happening right now. You're in the middle of it. You cannot just go back to life as you knew it. That life is gone. And no, it doesn't have to mean that you're facing a life of restriction and control worse than ever before. Unless you want it. Unless that's what you believe, and that these powers are so much stronger than you, so much stronger than your heart and your love, so much stronger than what you know means life. You, right now, this very moment, what you know and feel, what you permit yourself to know, within you. This is what matters. Once you begin, once you choose, this energy flows, bringing reminders, supporting you, nourishing you, guiding you, absolutely bringing unexpected joy and meaning to the life you are living. This message has been given to you in so many ways, from so many cultures, over so many centuries and millennia, repeated over and over again. And yet, it is still required. Will you miss it? Will humanity make it? Will you have the new dawning civilization? Despite yourselves, yes, you will. When you choose love over war, when you choose life over having needs met, when you choose connection, when the feeling and energy you share with others is your true currency, you will discover your true nature, yourselves as sovereign spiritual beings. Truly then you will discover your ability to create and manifest. And it won't be for security. It will be for the sheer joy, for the sheer miraculous power of working within the codes and language of nature, within the sacred shapes, colors of life. You've forgotten and you've been diverted. You've been absolutely missing the most essential tools for life on this earth. I know that is not your fault. But the invitation is here once again. To be that love, even if others cannot hear it, cannot see it, cannot feel it. To choose it for you, knowing as you do this, you're taking another step forward into a world, into a future that is so hungry for direction, so hungry for the new, so caught up in the old, and so very vulnerable to the tinderbox that is sitting worldwide. You, my friends, can be the way showers, can be the example of light on this earth, the return of light to the world. The very feeling that is here now in you, collectively between you, is this energy presence. Can you feel it? Because you're creating it now together. You're creating it. And not one of you is seeking to be the one. Not one of you is feeling your light or your love is bigger or greater than another. You are all sharing in an energy of feeling, a reminder and a remembering of what is real and what matters. Now, as you feel this, take a look at you and your life. And allow yourself to see if you can apply this to your own personal challenge, to how you feel about yourself, how you feel about others in your life, how you feel about what is happening around you. And if you choose that love, the view begins to change. Answers, solutions, balance begins to reveal itself. It is the ultimate cosmic guide. It is the ultimate answer book. What should I do? How can I heal this? How can I be loved? How can my life work better? How can I find my balance? How can I heal this body? How can I be happy? And seen through the lens of the love within you, your life takes on a very different view. Because you suddenly remember that you have this magic cupboard full of everything you needed. All the answers, all the energy to make things possible have been there with you all along. And you'd forgotten. Because you've been taught and encouraged to try to do it all from things outside yourself. Things that you believed were better than you. You had to measure up to be worthy of, to gain and achieve. When all along, it was there, already, by birthright. This remembering of yourself allows you to consciously be aware, consciously to awaken to whom you are and what is at your fingertips, what is absolutely there. And when you allow yourself to realize the difference this can make, how this can truly feel, and you then apply the absolute same love, looking out at your world, I'm sure your eyes and your heart are going to water at the sheer beauty of it all. And you're going to be reminded in awe and sacredness at what this world truly is. All without your input, just in and of itself. In the world created by human beings, this lens of love really shows up clearly, more than ever before, what is of love and what is not. It is the most reliable truth monitor you could ever have. It's going to help you to trust yourself, help you to navigate your way through a very confusing world with a myriad of messengers all telling you what to think, what to do, what to choose, what is right, what is wrong, what is out to get you, what to be afraid of. No matter how convincing the salesman is, you will know when seen, when looked at through the energy of love. It is crystal clear. And because of that, you can relax and then let everything else go. Not to put your energy into the things you really don't like and you really don't want, but to put your love, put your energy into what you want to build and create, improve, and experience. This is what the world needs, more of you doing this together. Goodness knows you've done it the last 2 world wars when you all came together to help each other, to really do what you could for the good of all. You're quite good like that. Disasters that are created by nature or humanity, you collectively come together for a cause. And that cause is generally your civilizations and your beliefs, and where you see yourself and how you fit in it and how it serves you. And now the cause is greater, beyond something that is just humanly made. It is your very consciousness. You're not here to live a life that is bombarded mentally and generating a false consciousness. You chose to come here because you want to help elevate the consciousness and therefore participate from a very different viewpoint. Because I can promise each and every one of you, you've been to this earth dozens upon dozens of times. You know how to do it the purely human way, with varying degrees of happiness and success. But you haven't done it this way yet. That's why you're here. You chose to come and participate in elevating human consciousness, in choosing to live not just from the heart, but from an energy that is real and tangible and becomes a lens that truly shows you what is real. And the more you participate, the more that grows, the more you absolutely nourish this consciousness you are participating in. And you do that by the words you choose, the thoughts you have, the things you focus on, and the things you refuse to focus upon, the things you refuse to give your energy to, and the things that you do lovingly attend to truly grow. It's time for you to feel very tangibly, from your own life perspective, your participation, the effect immediately. You'll know because you'll feel and experience it yourself, but you set off an energy that continues. A little like a case of dominoes, or indeed a marble that runs down a hill. You absolutely set something in motion that can truly help and make a difference. Or you continue to add to the collective heaviness, pain and fear that you all know only too well. It is an odd thing, is it not, my friends, that you know and relate to the difficulties far more than you do the love. That love is so elusive to you. It's a lovely idea. It sounds really good, but I'm not sure I know it so well. And yet, it's like the most precious china cup in your cupboard that you keep looking at, but it's too good to bring out and use. And yet now's the time to use it. Don't save it. Don't save it. Savor it instead. Indeed, we are sitting together, united in this moment, united in an energy of love that is benefiting you because collectively you are giving to this. You are receiving it. You are feeling it. And right now, You are locating it within. We could sit here for hours like this. Imagine living your life, not leaving it behind, not putting it down, but really remembering it's in you. And you take it everywhere you go. It's yours. No one can give it to you. No one can take it away. It's yours. It's you. Because you're part of it, the more you connect with it, and the more you feel it, the more you remember where it comes from and how it connects you with all love, with all other souls. So that even if your mind is playing tricks and you're less happy, less optimistic, this energy will hold you, support you, remind you of whom you are until your feelings, your thoughts change again. Participating in this is important. There's so many examples of it all around you. You see yourselves diverse and separate, differing experiences, differing choices. But you are all the same. All human, all part of love. Imagine you are in the most beautiful garden full of flowers. And all of these flowers exist in this garden. The more you love them, the more you see their beauty, they feel you. You feel the love, the fragrance, the beauty itself. Participation, collaborative culture, working together for a common need. It's no longer a goal, it's a need. You are suffering too much in your separation. You're suffering too much for the lack of love. So again, let your breath fill you. Let it remind you of what you know, what you've always known. And again, not leaving it purely as an ideal, as an ideology, but truly letting yourself see your life and your heart, those you love, through this lens. Even within all of your fears, within all the things you're worried about, nervous of, realize how you can see, how you can know who you are. And then look at the world, at your country, or even just your city and community, and be feeling able to truly participate, to look at through love, and be filled with confidence for whom you are. So often you feel, what difference could I make? And is one smile truly enough? Of course, it's better than nothing. But when you practice, you come to know and see that your difference is your presence. And that by being present in love, that is your power. Now you've beautifully entered into this energy. Beautifully, your consciousness is opening. Feel what is awakening inside of you. Feel the dawn of awareness, the dawn of love that you are choosing. This is real. You're not imagining some utopia, some idealistic dream. You're connecting with a real energy, a real feeling, a real love. This is what makes your life grow and flourish. This is what allows you to understand what your life truly is all about. It's very nice to see you feeling it, to experience this. And yes, it will feel somewhat familiar. But don't sit it there like a trophy. All right? Don't just rest it there as though it's precious and not to be used. You, your heart, your love is needed. That is your power. That is your lens. That is your truth monitor. That is the part of you that knows what is real, what matters, what is not. That is the key. So tell me, my friends, how do you look? How does your life look through this lens of love? What do you see? What do you notice? What does it show you?
Donna has a question for you, Raman.
Indeed, salam to you.
Salam, Raman. Mine's about the topic tonight, but it's also personal in how it touches me and something that I've been struggling with. And Raman, I've spoken to you recently, last time I was here, the other evening, about how I notice those who I've loved and cared for, people who have been in my life, and I've felt very sad when I've seen the direction that they're taking with regards to things you're talking about tonight.
Yes, dear heart.
And personalising it towards our Prime Minister as one person. And this is not really so much about her, but about me. And what I'm noticing is, because I'm so very clear in my own heart as to what I'm feeling, I have just no doubt I am really recognising what you're saying. And I've recognised it for a wee while, and some of your reflections back to me really helped me to enter that even more.
Indeed, dear
So
heart.
thank you. But what I'm noticing inside myself is that it distresses me now when I hear and see them directing this energy. It deeply saddens me.
Yes.
And I don't know how to relate to these people anymore, and I feel, on one part, I can feel a part of me that feels offended, but I also feel I understand what they're doing, and I love these people still, but I can feel I'm not happy with them, so I don't quite know what to do with this.
Of course, of course. You cannot, in any way at all, deny how you feel. And this feeling that is in you, because of love, will care and have compassion. But you will also see that there is a different path, a different consciousness that has been engaged upon. And because of it, my dear heart, they are forgetting, even though they will believe they are correct, they are forgetting that this energy just backs them up against a wall. And effectively life stops. And a tension grows within. A fight begins. If you like, an opposition. And when you are in oppositional energy, all of your energy is caught up. And that's what you're seeing, is that there is not very much of the self available, just oppositional energy focused in one direction. So that effectively is the communication and is the positioning that is taken. So there's no way to communicate or relate. And indeed, if you question, you won't have a reasonable reply, most likely. So it leaves you clear that in your position, you cannot participate. It is a separating out, a division.
So I think, Raman, I'm feeling grief.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Because these are people that really mattered to me.
Of course.
Yeah.
And you cannot join.
No, I can't.
You cannot participate.
I can't, I don't want to.
All you can do is hold love.
That's the bit. I can feel I'm not holding love all the time. I can feel it in me.
Yes.
I can feel it's there. I can feel my care still there.
Yes.
Mostly. There's some that isn't. That's my own growth. I can feel that. But mostly it is. But I just get so offended when I hear what they say.
Correct.
I really do.
Dear heart, I'm not going to advocate choosing sides. But what I want you to understand is that it doesn't do you any good being aware, watching, viewing, feeling all of this. It invites you to take a position yourself, a stance of love. And it invites you to realize that this position has been taken and they themselves have moved apart. So it's really not going to serve or support you to see it, to be aware of it. So it asks you to look after yourself, to be clear about what or how or whom you participate with.
Yes, and that's where I have begun to disengage.
Indeed.
And every now and then I will have a look, and that's perhaps what I need to stop doing.
I don't see that it's good for you.
No, it's not.
I know that in the process of trying to come to terms with it, trying to accept it, you would look again and hope it was different.
Yeah.
But now you're seeing it's not only not different, it is perhaps more entrenched.
It is. Okay. That's clear. Thank you, Raman.
You are welcome. It is quite all right to grieve. But it's also really good to have a good sense of self, have a clear boundary around what supports you or not, what you want to be affiliated with or not, and simply make that choice.
Thank you, Raman.
All right, my dear. Indeed. These are difficult times, and when you find yourselves opposed in views to each other, of course it doesn't help when you might think you could have a good old argument or a good old discussion. But my dearest hearts, the kind of energy that is there at the moment is that you either believe it all or you don't at all. So there's not a lot of room for negotiation or healthy discussion. And this, of course, really doesn't help anyone. So again, try not to take offense. Realize you are awake, because those who are awoken are not just au fait with conspiracies, but are awoken to the heart, awoken to the energy that this life is all about right now. Because if you are to survive the rest of this sanctuary, you're going to need to be using a different energy. Or it's simply another pattern of destruction that humanity has already taken over and over again. This is your opportunity. Stand in the energy, stand in the light you know and believe, and put your energy there. And yes, it takes some adjusting. I do understand.
A question over here.
Dear.
Yes.
Hello.
Salam to you.
Salam. Thank you for holding this space. This is my first time here, so a heartfelt gratitude to you and for everyone here in the room. Thank you. I am ignorant, so I'm going to ask, I have two simple questions.
Yes.
The first one is my understanding, my body understanding from this event tonight is your encouragement of people to trust themselves.
To trust yourself, but most of all to trust the love you are, that you know and feel inside. To let it guide you, let it be the lens you see yourself, you see life through.
Okay, thank you. And this is where I am confused, because if one is encouraged to trust from within, then why is there an invitation for teaching?
The invocation for teaching, my dear, is the reminder, because you may not remember it yourself without that reflection. You have knowledge within. You have understanding within. Then look at how often that is exercised. You learn from each other. You learn from coming together, from sharing, from being supported to remember. Teaching is a part of the human way. It is always the tradition, dear heart. And until you all as humanity truly step into that energy, you will be teachers to each other. You become teacher to yourself when you listen to yourself. But it is never so simple, because to listen to yourself means to understand and to trust, to believe in yourself. And that is what many don't find easy to do. So understanding the journey is about remembering whom you are, the world, the cultures you live in. Of course, these divert you to measure yourself externally, to function mainly in a mental way, forgetting or reserving what you know, what you love, what you feel, to the personal sense alone. Many have forgotten that you are completely part of all, not just in an intellectual knowing or remembering, but in a very real, personal, relatory way. So when you can stand in that energy and truly represent it, you will in turn be that teacher, that one who invites others to remember and to show the way. This is how it works.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you.
It is my pleasure.
I've got some questions online here for you.
Of course.
So, just to begin with Justine. She has asked, Salam Raman, my girls are booked to fly to Wellington late September for a week. I just want to know if they will be safe and okay as I won't be with them, or should I expect a delay given the COVID situation? They've never been away like this before. Much love, Justine.
I understand that you are going to be having a mother's tremble, dear heart. And in the light of that, a little fortune telling, right? It is important to understand that your girls are going to be absolutely fine. They will be well loved and cared for, even out of your hands. But be prepared, because between now and then, there are going to be a number of things that will occur that will throw many plans up in the air and cause you to rethink. So at any moment that you feel concerned, any moment your intuition says, I'm not happy about this, you can stop. Go ahead right now, but know that at any time you can change your plans if you're not particularly happy. All right? But realize they're going to be fine.
This is not so much a question, but an answer to you, Raman, when you asked earlier. And Tina replies, for me it shows me and is reminded through the breath, I love, I am loved, and I am love. This perspective permeates my heart and is showing me I have never truly been separate from this truth. My feeling of lack was an illusion compounded by my life story, which no longer has a hold as I choose to be centered deeply within. Thank you for teaching me this and supporting my healing. I love you.
I am simply the mirror, the reminder, beloved. It is my pleasure.
This one is from Christine, I believe. And she asked, Dear Raman, if I've got that right, you said COVID-19 is really dangerous. I am confused because a lot of doctors say it is not dangerous as influenza. A few months ago, when we had the first lockdown, the hospitals were empty and that many measures were not beneficial to health, such as masks. Therefore, it raises a lot of questions for me.
Dear heart, the COVID virus has components to it that are not the same as influenza. And how that interacts in the body is like leaving little bombs or booby traps for later down the path. It is very important to understand that those who contract it do not do well and have a struggle with ongoing symptoms and damage to organ function. So this is having ongoing effect. But you're going to have quite a lot of variance in ideas, and unless you are speaking to those who contract it and recover, unless you're truly personally speaking to those in the know, you're going to be very confused. So what I'm sharing with you, what I'm telling you about, is to help you to understand that this is one of the most infectious viruses, so easily transmitted, easily mutated according to your immune system. So already it has mutated 30 times. And this is important to realize. This is not one virus now, but several. And it affects and impacts people differently. So this again is important. It's partially determined by your immune system and how that functions. Those who contract it, even mildly, go on to have a compromised immunity and therefore compromised function. So in my view, if I'm saying it's deadly, I'm not saying it's killing everyone. I'm simply saying to you that this is not something to downplay. And I can promise you, those who contracted don't think it's something like an influenza. So there is a problem here because many had an idea it's no worse than a coronavirus. COVID is a composition virus, and the composition has a great effect upon how your body functions and recovers from infection. So if you don't contract it, be very, very grateful. And if you do contract it, take your health extremely seriously, particularly in how you recover. Because the long-term effects starting to emerge are going to show themselves more in the next 2 or 3 years than they are now. It's a very controversial subject. I'm very aware. Dear Hat Salam to you.
Just a very practical question. Because of my work and what I'm currently doing.
Yes.
Some practical things that can be thought of to support people should they become unwell.
It is very important that there is rest. And I know that, of course, when people do become unwell, the inclination is to do nothing at all. But what I would recommend is what I would term true rest. No technological devices. It means not even reading words, sleeping, resting, laying in sunshine, which is very good for the body, to absolutely be looked after, where appetite is available, to have a good source of protein, not necessarily of animal origin. The body needs protein to absolutely combat what a virus takes out of it. Yes, vitamin C is very useful, and you cannot overdose because the body doesn't retain it. You need to have constant, good amounts going in. Supplements are not wasteful because the body will use minerals and vitamins in greater amount, more than it can generate and replace each day. And this is often, in those who become very unwell, the difference between the length of time of being unwell and the severity. Because you are all very different in how you're able to generate and maintain good levels of nutrients in your system. That's the thing, you're not all equal. So you can make a difference and support this process and, again, rest.
In the plants and the herbs I'm currently working with, I'm sure there's something in there.
Definitely, simply because the body knows and recognizes and is able to absorb and use such things really readily without it costing any energy or effort to do so. So yes, anything of nature will be tremendously helpful. But again, I cannot emphasize rest enough. Rest will be sleep, and rest is just lying quietly. Not easy, I know, for modern minds used to constant stimulus. But truly, you need all of your energy.
Thank you,
Indeed, dear heart.
For Jane.
In giving rise to an unseemly scramble to hastily create a vaccine.
Yes, dear heart.
Which, from everything that you're saying, would seem that such a vaccine would be likely to create harm in us as well. So that's one question. And then in your view, is there, alongside the huge push for this, is there also a consciousness in the world that will question it and really be committed to not just allowing this to be blindly pushed forward?
All right, I understand the question, and I understand really in your world the two very contentious positions, simply because introducing such a thing into your body is to stimulate an immune response. The difficulty with COVID is that it affects the T cells, and anything that affects the T cells has a permanent effect. Now, most vaccines have permanent effect, but over time the immune system will neutralize or balance it out. With a COVID vaccine, it will be created from a particular strain, and because there are more than one strain now, it won't cover all. So, as you know, with influenza vaccines, these are generally not effective. And many will avoid such a thing. But you will also have numbers of the population who are fearful and hope that such a thing will work and help. Now, currently, upon the tests that are being done, is an acceptable rate of adverse effect. And this is how it will be sold to you. So you'll have to calculate, are you willing to gamble that you won't be in the 30% adverse effect?
Wow. 30% is high.
It is a very high percentage. But it will be sold to you as a way that you can, in a way, have a dose without getting ill. But the 30% currently will get very ill as though they've contracted COVID themselves. So currently the trials are showing 30% of those participating are becoming very ill. Now, you cannot create such a thing overnight. This is not a simple solution. And again, when T cells are involved, these are really vital cells, responsible not just for viral immunity, but for most other functions in the human body. So you don't really want to have that adversely affected. Again, if in doubt, apply the rule. Apply love. Really look at it. Are you going to choose to move forward, to participate so that your energy is really creating and supported by unified energy? Or are you going to function in the world from the mental viewpoint and therefore take a risk? Now, I know your question is academic. I know you wouldn't want to take it, dear heart. But it's again important because there will be a lot of fear. And particularly by the end of this year, there's going to be a certain amount of pressure around taking a vaccine. But I don't believe for a moment you're all going to just accept that. So it's very important to understand there are no laws that govern such a mandatory process. Be at ease, my friends.
A couple of questions here online again, Raman.
Yes, of course.
Thanks, Chris. So, another health-related question. Where did I find it? This is from Amanda. Dear Raman, I've been suffering from worrying spasms and pain in my head and face recently. I am seeking medical advice, but I wonder if you could also advise me on what may be the cause and how to manage this. Thank you.
My dear heart, you have become very unwell and you are on the way to having an answer. I'm not going to diagnose you here and now. But what I want you to understand is that this will be recoverable. It is a little uncomfortable just for a little longer, in fact a week or so. But increasingly you will find your energy returning and the symptoms, they will fade. This is somewhat of a nervous attack. So your nerves, nervous system is very overstimulated. And you're going to find that energy levels will also increase, but it's important to continue to consult with your physician.
Now, Raman, you've actually answered this question because as soon as John typed it, you actually answered what he'd asked, but I'm going to ask it for him anyway. Oh, yes, of course you do. From John, Dear Raman, does a life form such as a virus or a composition virus such as COVID respond to love? If so, can our collective consciousness have an influence on a life form that, by its nature, is damaging to our life form? Thank you.
So all you have to ask is, do you believe in love? And how do you feel when love is present within you? So when you know that, you can start to realize the difference it is in you. When you feel love, when you know you are loved, when you engage in that love, does it change anything for you at all? It's really important to understand. This is what being consciously awakened means. You're choosing to be conscious. And when you are consciously loving, everything you are consciously directing your focus toward feels and receives the energy you're using. So just like water reflects energy and thought and intention, love itself can have such a wonderful effect upon the body, upon your immunity, upon how you recover. Let's make a vaccine of that. Indeed.
Before we wrap up the evening, is anyone sitting on a question they really want to ask?
Greetings, my dear heart.
Everything we're hearing about COVID, and even some of the questions tonight, have been around, how COVID is a threat to us, and all of the kind of government controls and actions are around kind of containing this threat. But the very last question, John's question, it made me wonder about, well, COVID is in the world and it will be with us for a long time.
Yes.
And we can't live treating it as a threat because that's not sustainable. We can only defend and fight something for so long. So what's the change that needs to take collectively for all of us to actually be able to live with this?
My friend, this is an important question. I thank you. It is important, first of all, to look at what is occurring elsewhere in your world. And the absolute variance in what you might call human priority. Is it toward health and well-being, or is it toward economy and finance? So you all have a choice to make as to what you value, what is more important. And of course the arguments for world economies will say that you need industry and you need business and you need income in order to function. But if you have a world's population affected in some way, directly or indirectly, by this COVID virus, or even its cousin that will make itself known before long, really understand, be aware, be aware
Carry on, Raman.
that it is important to recognize you are being asked to choose. So I'm inviting you all to choose love. And even right now, to choose love for what you heard. And really prioritize each other and really understand you cannot avoid this. Worldwide, you have to decide what you stand for, what you value about life. Now, if you choose each other, and you choose love, and you choose health, you are effectively standing for the well-being of everyone on the planet, which is good for economy. But if you choose economy over health and well-being, which is the old standpoint, where you've all seen the effects of choosing superiority and dominance, where you're seeing money, world markets chosen over health and happiness. You will just have more of the same if that old way continues to be chosen. Already in the world, you have had countries that try to do both and not really succeed very well. But the thing about you as human beings and the thing about your body is that it operates under a code of love anyway. You're just learning to be conscious of it, and that code of love will adjust and recover wherever possible, despite whether health is prioritized or not. But as a consciousness, and I'm not overstating this, your survival on this planet will really depend upon how you all draw together to move forward from this period of human history. Now, you've done it before. You've had differing pandemics around the world. You've had plague, and many have been lost, and then you've recovered and you've come forward again. The difference with this COVID is that it's not just an infectious bubonic plague. This is a virus, and yes, I know even that has been argued. But this is something very biological that can have a devastating effect upon how your body monitors and maintains itself. So unless you are really focused on your health right now, you're going to be starting from the back foot. In other words, if your diet is not good, if you don't exercise, if you're not healthy and well, start now and really focus on it. And then realize and understand that the choices you're making going forward are really going to be reflected in every country of the world in terms of standard of life and in terms of environmental policy, in terms of realizing you don't exist separately from each other or from the environment. You need to care for yourselves. Your body is your own environment, and your body exists within the environment of the earth. And unless this correlation, this relationship is remembered and absolutely engaged with on every level of society, then you just will be having repeated experiences. So I want you to remember that the most important thing you can do right now, in the midst of a threat that you have again, is to work lovingly, caringly together to create an environment where you all feel supported and cared about. I know, even as you do that, you will witness others who act on fear. And you will watch others who have their own agenda and wish to see proof that what they believe is coming to pass. That will absolutely believe that their perspective is right and interpret every action to really help you recover, not only as individuals but as a country, as something working against you. Now, from one viewpoint, you would say dealing with a global pandemic and a threat to your nation yet again is enough to contend with without having the threat of this being consciously orchestrated against you. Would you not agree?
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to really stand in your heart, stand in the energy of love, and make a choice so that you, your well-being, and those of your community is lovingly supported and cared for. You still are making a difference worldwide. You are here to show a way. You've been doing it, you will continue to do it. And indeed, you will see yet what more this will ask. Again, trust. Trust in yourselves, trust in love, and absolutely know that you really make the difference. I'm not here to give you prediction. I'm here to encourage you. Remember your power. This is who you are. May love guide and support you. May you listen to yourself. May you trust what you know and hear within. And may you remember it and see that invitation everywhere around you. So that in your forgetting, even the sunrise may teach you. Salam to you, beloved ones. Elekum Kudofis.
God bless. Salam. Thank you.